case it's already recording, which it probably is, I'm gonna be your main host, Lamar, and my co-hosts are Lance, Leon, and Chad. And this is the 3LC Reaction Channel, where we react to you know, bums like Matt Stafford throwing for 5,000 yards. Sorry about that though, man. You seem like a great guy, but I mean, you had Megatron and you couldn't get the Lions any kind of playoff wins or NFC Championship games. Go ahead, Lee. You were saying.
Okay, y'all giving Matt Stafford all this hell, but Barry couldn't even get. Barry's the greatest player they ever had, and look what Barry had to show for it every time he got to
Oh,
the
oh,
playoffs.
oh, oh, the greatest running
That's a
back.
different position, though, Lee.
So,
That's a different position.
I'm still, even though it's a different position, right? All I'm saying is it don't matter if the Lions had one of the arguably the greatest quarterbacks of all time and running backs of all time and couldn't get it done. That's not an indictment on Barry or Matthew Stafford. It's just the Lions. No matter what player they get, is never going to be enough because that franchise is incompetent. It doesn't matter.
Right.
They say the same thing
Josh,
about
come in. Then
Cleveland.
I didn't
You could
introduce
put Aaron
Josh,
Rodgers on the
our
Lions. I
special
don't
Yeah,
think
guest,
Aaron
Josh.
yeah,
Rodgers.
Go ahead.
that's what they say about Cleveland, man. I think
It's just, nothing
I
you can
think,
do. It's just some franchises. It just doesn't matter. Matthew Stafford is a talented quarterback. I think if he was on any other team, he would have a lot more playoffs wins and maybe even better stats. The
I
fact
mean,
that he was able to be as
Lee,
efficient as
Matthew
he was,
Stafford is a bum. Matthew Stafford is a
no
bum.
man.
Lee, you made a damn good point. I ain't even never think about it like that. But when you talk about the quarterback and the running back, really, like you can't say, yeah, it is. You can't say because the running back never get the credit for the success of the team. Like never. It always be the coaches and the quarterback. You know what I mean? If it's the coaches and the quarterback, you know what I mean? And for you to I understand where you're going for that, but Barry the goat.
Right,
Barry the goat.
but look what he had to show for it. They made him retire early. All he had to show for it was stats, and they could never get
But but
and the
but
argument was they
I
never
don't
had a
think I
quarterback,
don't
right?
think I don't think that the ring conversation don't never trickle down to the running back. It always be quarterbacks and coaches.
Yeah,
I don't
which
really
is why I
never
think
hear
Marino to
nobody.
go. But
Yeah, I don't never hear nobody saying, well, he ain't the GOAT because he ain't got a ring, because he's a running back or a linebacker or a receiver. That always be reserved for quarterbacks.
I'm
You know
glad you
what I mean?
brought that up because and that's why I always defend my point
So
of
this is
Marino
what
being the GOAT vehemently. But you're right though. Look at Barry. I got to tip my hat to him. I'm not from Detroit, and Lions is not my team. But the way that man ran the ball, just like the way Marino threw the ball, it can't be
Go.
you. It's a go. You can't teach it. It's in you. You get your training. You hone your skills, but it's a born in quality that I think those two guys brought to the game. Barry never had any help, and then unlike basketball, you can only play on one side of the ball in football. So you can have the greatest. I mean, look at the Minnesota Vikings in '98. They ended up letting the Dirty Birds go to Super Bowl because they didn't have a defense, and that might have been one of the greatest offense. I mean, that was one of the single season greatest offense. So football, the ultimate team sport, which is why when I talk about the GOAT in football, I leave out all the ring talk because this is I know people
Well,
love
to
the
the
ring
quarterback.
thing.
here's my mic drop. Here's my mic drop. Matthew Stafford so gangster, he got us arguing about him, man. He played for the Lions.
No, y'all brought him up. I
Hmm.
didn't want to talk about
Man,
it.
I
Matthew
rest my
Stafford a bum.
case.
If he get his
I rest my
numbers,
case right there.
because
Chad
wait a
Chad wants
minute,
to jump in.
if he, of course, Matt Stafford can get his numbers, but another piece of garbage out there that got his numbers and still garbage to me is the same. You can put him right in the same bracket as that Eddie George bullshit. Eddie George
Yeah, this is
used to
one be
get his
still. I feel
numbers
be
and was
still.
still trash.
I feel be safe.
Eddie George.
Eddie George, Matthew Stafford,
But
those
but
the
but but
guys that
but
get
when you
the
talk,
numbers and they can't do nothing
but
with it. It's
but
just be like
But
but
see,
pointless.
yeah,
They,
but see, you're right about Eddie George. All he
see the
has
thing.
is numbers. I agree with you. But
No,
Matthew Stafford
but
actually
Eddie
has
George
like
trash.
real
no, but
awards. Like,
the thing
hold
B
on.
is when you talk, we have all these conversations about sports, and I never have conversations with people about, only time the ring conversation come up when you're talking quarterback and coaches. I don't never have them conversations with receivers, running backs, linebackers, or nothing.
I'm not even
So
talking about rings. I'm just saying pure from talent. standpoint.
Then if you talking about far leading your team, because the quarterback is supposed to be the ultimate leader. That's what separates, Matthew Stafford from the Braves, the Mannings, the all Marinos, all the goats in there. That's what puts Matthew Stafford in the JC conversation. Can't speak in the conversation.
And let's not forget the other Matt.
He
Matt
had
Ryan
shoulders.
also has declined significantly. Both
Yeah, 'cause
Matts.
Matty
But
Ice is another one. Matty
but
Ice,
here's the
Matt.
thing with Stafford, he got some real awards and achievements. First player in
He
NFL
have the
history to
ring,
complete
bro.
60% or more of his
He have the
passes.
jury.
First player, and that was in 2015.
But then too, another thing that happened.
Stafford was on the offense
Back in the
with
season.
Megatron. What he had? Megatron.
That's
What it was? Golden Tate.
oh
Golden Tate.
man, Golden Tate,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, go.
Yeah.
What's Golden Tate
Man,
down there? Yeah.
what's Golden Tate?
It's,
I
go,
don't
Had
think
it's
so.
Golden
boots
Tate
in
the
the
Hall.
back. This man had a raw offense, bro. The man offense was legit. If you can't
Yeah,
take that
it was a
offense,
one-man band. All he had was Megatron.
yeah, not only that, now he had a legit offense, and it was not the best. It wasn't like how the Chiefs was like that's the offense to beat, or the greatest show on turf. The offense, the offense that's them. I don't remember Detroit
Yes,
having
that's their whole identity. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Everybody
wasn't.
looking
But see,
out like how the
that's
Chiefs
what I'm saying about the
was. Yeah.
Lions, though. The
even with all the
Lions,
great players they had around him. I don't remember Matthew Stafford them being the offense. You know what I mean? I don't
no,
remember that.
I'm not arguing that about the team's success under Matthew Stafford. I'm just saying Matthew Stafford as a top quarterback in the league is what I'm saying. Yeah,
So
he never won anything with the Lions,
you
but you can say that about
believe that
any
the
player.
Lions is trash. So you believe that the Lions is trash.
The Lions are just trash. I don't care who you could put. You could put Dan Marino in his prime
So
right now on the Lions,
that's
and
a
it'll make Dan Marino look bad.
we're
That's
gonna
just how
do
bad
that
the Lions.
next week. We're gonna get one of our top 10 lists. Got to be the top 10 most cursed NFL franchises. That's gonna be a lovely list because the Lions are one of them teams. It's like no matter what happens,
This is
and
not gonna happen. It don't matter
and
who you put over there.
yeah, in the post you got the Lions, the Jets, the Browns, the
Shout out
Cardinals,
to
the post '80s Miami Dolphins,
Huh?
and four
No,
other
you know who
teams.
the most overhyped quarterback in NFL history is? Is Joe Namath, man. He ain't do nothing. His
Wait a minute,
stats was
bro. Wait a
terrible.
minute. You got to bite your tongue.
For my
I,
time,
I,
I can't. I can't.
see, I'm a
I think he
history.
led the league in interceptions. His
I'm a
stats was
historian.
terrible. I think the
I got
only thing was that he was
I
able
got to
to
call
run
a timeout on this. You kind of out
block.
of you out
Yeah,
of
no, that's
line.
before yeah. Man, y'all just went y'all going to Broadway Joe, baby. That's when the NFL was wearing leather helmets and shit. I don't know nothing about that.
Well, be that
I
as
can't.
it may, be
I'm
that
a.
as it
I'm a
may.
mind
Wait
on
a
this.
minute, be that as it may. You got to put some respect on Broadway Joe's name because
I ain't
if
put
it
no
wasn't for
respect into
him,
this shit.
the AFL would have went the same way as the Arena Football League. Because of him, we have the NFL as we know it. If he didn't take that Super Bowl III New York Jets team to their victory over the heavily favored NFL Baltimore Colts, the league as we know it wouldn't exist. My beloved Miami Dolphins wouldn't exist, so let's put some little respect on Joe. Now I ain't saying he the greatest, but let's not
That's
throw him
why he's
under
the
the
most
bus.
overrated. He in the Hall of Fame. So hold on,
He
not to
got to
cut
be in
you
the
off,
Hall of
but
Fame. If it
Yeah,
wasn't for
Joe in the
him,
Hall of Fame.
if it wasn't for
We don't
him,
know Joe
you wouldn't
Namath, bro.
have the.
Us
If
on this phone know Joe Smoky Joe, bro.
Joe Namath.
We don't
if
know
you,
Joe. I ain't watched Joe
I don't.
Namath play.
I'm far
but
And I
from
here's
a
my
don't
point.
Chiefs
Let
know
me
fan.
just say
anybody
this
on the
about Joe
phone.
Namath. So this is his stats. So he
Okay.
finished
You
his career with
always, you
100.
always gotta respect the people that paved the
No,
way,
I
though,
I'm not
know
respecting
because
what
them.
I'm about.
it's just like when we gonna get into this hip hop conversation. I don't
I'm
like the
with it.
I don't like the Sugar Hill Gang, but I gotta acknowledge them as pioneers
I
of the
agree with you.
genre.
I just don't want to like I don't know. I don't watch Joe. I can't comment on the man. I think I'd be doing him a disservice by saying or anything about that man game, and I don't know enough about him. That's all I was saying. I ain't.
Okay,
I
no,
know he.
I heard you. I was getting on Leon for being a
Oh,
disrespectful youngster. Um, and you got to put some respect on Broadway Joe, because the
And this
NFL
is
wouldn't
why, all
be.
right, now let me
I know he
make my
one of the
argument to
greats.
why I'm not putting
I
any
know he.
respect on
I
Broadway
know he's
Joe.
one
And
of the
this, I
greats
think
because
this
I
will
know
end the
his
whole
name.
argument right here.
I never
Okay,
watched
go
him.
ahead.
I know his
It's a
name. I know
mic
he.
drop.
This is a free speech zone.
Joe
Go ahead.
Namath, he finished his career with 173 touchdowns, 220 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 65.5. By comparison, that's Rex Grossman, Tim Couch, Quincy Carter, and David
Joe
Carr
got
all have superior quarterback ratings.
Joe ass. Joe ass.
He is one of the worst quarterbacks ever.
This is why. Wait a minute. And here's my mic drop. Here's my mic drop.
Broadway Joe ass.
Here's my mic drop and my rebuttal. That same thing you just applied could also apply to people like Tannehill, like Jay Feely. Remember, stats work for them. Stats. Wait a minute. Stats work for them in the opposite way. Stats overhype them. That's just like Kirk Cousins. He got a high completion percentage. On paper, he looked good. But when it's time to win the game, can Kirk Cousins take you over the top and win that game? No. Broadway Joe did that. Broadway Joe saved the AFL. Broadway Joe saved the AFL, and in turn, he made the NFL what it is today. It's just like the Sugar Hill game. I don't want to hear hip hop, a hibbit dibby hip. But guess what? If it wasn't stats,
the conversation. That's the question. Like what you talk about, it depends on the question. Now, if you want to be talking about the trans or the
trailblazers, I'm talking about trailblazers
or the founders, then that's a different conversation. But when you put his stats on the line against what's going on, you gotta admit Joe trash. You know what I'm saying?
What I will admit, I'm not. But see, I won't go that far. I won't call him trash because guess what? One for him, NFL, we know it wouldn't exist. And then on top of that, you got people like Trent Dilfer. At least Joe, when he was playing quarterback in that Super Bowl, he led his team to the victory. He had what it take to win against a superior team. If it wasn't for him, the AFL would have went the way of the D League. It would be a D League. You wouldn't have no merger. You wouldn't have no Dolphins, no Broncos. All these teams in the AFC wouldn't exist. But go ahead.
Well, Lamar, you brought up Trent Dilfer. Think about you talking about Joe Namath.
He had a good point, bro.
No, but his point is about the question. I think we having two different conversations because he talking about trailblazing and the history of the game and all this stuff. We saying based on his numbers, this is what Lee talking about. Based on his numbers, this guy falls in the category. I think he named Rex Grossman. He in love with Rex Grossman.
No, Rex Grossman has a better career stats than him. Rex Grossman, Tim Couch, Quincy Carter, and David Carr.
Rex Grossman was a goddamn bum.
Yeah, what you talking about, Lamar? Nobody arguing that. You know, that's not what I'm arguing. I agree with you 100 on what you talking about. I'm saying the conversation we talking about his numbers. Yeah, where's if Joe Namath came out today in the NFL and he pulled that shit, he'd be a bum.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, and you know what? I would agree with that point. I would say his stats are garbage, but I wouldn't resort to calling Broadway Joe garbage. We don't call him Garbage Joe. We call him Broadway Joe.
Like you said.
Okay, so wait a minute. Let me get in here on this. I got to ask Lamar a question. So you saying that you giving him his props for transcending the game. So how would that be? Is he did he transcend the game to the level of, let's say, Randy Moss that made defenses invent new coverages, or what's the level here?
I would have to say. I would have to say.
To me, Randy Moss is a more
I don't think he did
transcender of the game.
I would have to say yes, he did, because let me take another analogy from history. That's like George. Wait a minute. That's like George Washington, right? He lost almost every battle against the British, but he won the two that counted the most, and we had the United States of America. So in the same way, Broadway Joe stats is trash. His play might have been trash. He can have all the interceptions, but when the moment hit, he became a legend in that game. That's why they call him Broadway Joe. That's why he respected. That's all I'm saying. You could beat God. All you got to do is win. And that's the beautiful thing about life. That's the beautiful thing about
agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. I was talking about as far as what Lee was coming from. I don't think Lee was coming from his legacy.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Lee coming from stat-wise. I can't argue against those stats.
So by that logic, we would have to say Nick Foles is a Hall of Famer.
No, no,
He's
no. But
never.
see, now here's why that doesn't work. Here, wait a minute. Here's why that don't work. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here's why that don't work. Nick Foles is an Eagles Hall of Famer. That's why they got his statue out. They're gonna put him in the Ring of Honor. He's a legend in Philly. Broadway Joe is an NFL legend because of what he did. But let's stop this one right here though. Let's